Ever wondered what happens when big egos clash and things go sideways? Today, we're diving into the explosive moments where some of the internet's loudest voices got served a big slice of humble pie. From Sneeko getting roasted by Penguin Zero to alpha influencers being put in their place. Stay tuned, it's going to get wild. Wes Watson being embarrassed on stage by Andrew Wilson.
I'm just asking, do you have money?
I just said no. I'm broke. I'm a nobody.
No, but really you are?
Yeah.
Is he really broke?
Yeah.
I just want to know. I have to know.
No, I'm not.
trolling.
I'm not one of these rich guys. I don't have a Bugatti. I don't have a Lambo. I don't have a
just
Ferrari.
really have to know. Like, how much money you got?
Probably the $5 in my pocket. Not much more.
Can anyone answer for the guy?
Why do they think I'm kidding? I have a family. I take care of an entire family.
The concept of an alpha male has long been a point of discussion and debate, especially in modern masculinity. One notable figure who embodies this concept is Wes Watson, a former convict turned motivational speaker, whose intense and often aggressive persona has garnered a large following. He preaches about dominance, success, and living a disciplined life, largely framed around a tough guy image. However, Watson experienced a moment of public humiliation during a live podcast event on the Fresh and Fit show, where Andrew Wilson, a calmer and more composed guest, successfully challenged Watson's entire approach to masculinity, leaving him visibly shaken and embarrassed. The incident began as a debate over modern masculinity, an area Watson is well known for promoting through his hard-nosed, intense rhetoric. Watson's brand is built on the concept of a no-nonsense, alpha mindset, which appeals to many who admire his story of transformation from a life of crime and incarceration to one of success and personal discipline. However, during this live event, his image of unshakable dominance was put to the test. Andrew Wilson, a guest who had a different approach to masculinity and success, confronted Watson with pointed criticism. Instead of engaging in a shouting match or using emotional manipulation, Wilson remained calm, presenting his arguments in a methodical and rational way. He accused Watson of putting on a performance, using a fake gangster persona to impress the audience and promote his brand. Wilson argued that Watson's version of masculinity was shallow, reliant on physical appearance and intimidation rather than internal values and substance. This line of attack threw Watson off balance. As someone who thrives on his tough guy image, Watson wasn't prepared to face someone who could undermine his authority without resorting to aggression. As Wilson continued to break down Watson's perspective, Watson became visibly frustrated. At one point, Watson seemed on the verge of losing his temper entirely, standing up and looking like he might physically confront Wilson. The tension in the room was palpable, as many in the audience could see Watson's usual confidence beginning to crumble. The most striking part of the exchange wasn't just the verbal back and forth, but the contrast in styles between the two men. Watson, known for his loud, confrontational style, found that it simply didn't work in this setting. His intimidation tactics fell flat in the face of Wilson's calm, collected demeanor. Wilson's arguments revolved around the idea that real masculinity isn't about projecting power or dominance through aggression.
Bald as can fucking be. You're tatted from head to toe. You've been raped in prison. Why talk shit?
Well, that's
Why not
just
have a
stupid.
debate?
But dude, why are you talking about rape, bro? No one said
Well, you
anything
said
sexual.
you were on the floor and some guy gave you a message.
Okay.
Instead, he emphasized that true success comes from inner strength, intellectual maturity, and a deeper understanding of one's values. In this environment, Watson's attempts to assert dominance only made him look more insecure, as if his tough exterior was a mask that could easily be stripped away when challenged. For Watson, the humiliation didn't end on stage. The internet quickly seized upon the moment, with many viewers taking to social media to discuss the exchange. Clips from the event went viral, with titles such as Wes Watson Gets Humbled and Fake Gangster Gets Owned on Stage popping up across platforms like YouTube. Some of Watson's detractors took delight in the fact that someone who builds his image on toughness and dominance had been publicly embarrassed. Even many of his followers were surprised at how Watson's usual confidence seemed to vanish under pressure. This incident sparked a broader conversation about the idea of what it means to be alpha. The traditional concept of the alpha male, strong, assertive, dominant, was clearly challenged during this confrontation. Wilson's victory wasn't one of physical strength or verbal aggression. It was one of composure and intellectual clarity. In this case, Watson's version of alpha masculinity, which relies heavily on intimidation, was shown to be fragile when put to the test. Many viewers saw this as an important lesson. Being loud and forceful doesn't necessarily equate to strength. In the end, this public humbling of an alpha male serves as a reminder that true strength comes from more than just muscles or bravado. Watson's defeat was not just about one man besting another in a debate. It was a symbolic moment showing that the ideals of modern masculinity are changing, and that the tough guy act is no longer enough to command respect in today's world. Fresh and Fit getting checked by one of their guests.
All right, what about you?
All right, I have 3 questions that I've
Ooh.
been trying to get in, but
Sure.
hopefully this is my chance. So the first 2 are about short videos or clips that I've seen. So the first one, you were talking about how women desire promiscuous men or want to share
Oh.
them and stuff like that. Could you first summarize or clarify your argument so I can get the full scope of it?
The Fresh and Fit podcast, hosted by Myron Gaines and Walter Weeks, has become notorious for its controversial takes on modern relationships, especially regarding dating and gender roles. Their unapologetically alpha male stance often sparks heated debates, but one of the more memorable moments occurred when one of their guests, Instagram model Amanda, stood up to them during a live broadcast. In this incident, the show took its typical direction where Myron and Walter, also known as Fresh, were discussing how women need to respect men in relationships, framing their arguments around traditional gender roles and men's supposed dominance. The host claimed that modern women often have an inflated sense of entitlement, leading them to disrespect men. However, as they attempted to generalize women's behavior, Amanda interjected. She challenged their views on women and pointed out how their approach undermined women's autonomy. This led to a tense exchange where Amanda asserted her point, refusing to back down despite Myron's increasingly condescending tone. Myron, known for shutting down dissenting opinions with harsh retorts, tried to brush off Amanda's statements by suggesting that women like her are exactly the problem in modern dating, too independent and assertive. What made this exchange significant was the fact that Amanda managed to check the hosts. While Myron attempted to control the narrative, Amanda's calm, yet confident demeanor shifted the conversation. The audience, both live and online, took notice, with many praising Amanda for standing her ground. Social media buzzed with reactions, as this was a rare occasion where the Fresh and Fit hosts found themselves facing genuine pushback from a guest. This moment is part of a broader trend in which the Fresh and Fit podcast has been criticized for its harsh, often demeaning treatment of female guests. Many viewers argue that the hosts use their platform to promote toxic masculinity under the guise of relationship advice, focusing heavily on patriarchal power dynamics. This particular confrontation with Amanda gave rise to discussions about how their platform may not always handle debates in a balanced manner, especially when guests challenge the host's viewpoints. Furthermore, this incident isn't isolated. Fresh and Fit has built a reputation for controversial episodes that involve clashes with female guests. Despite their significant following, over 1 million YouTube subscribers, many viewers have grown disillusioned by their aggressive approach, particularly in situations where their guests push back on their ideas. While the Fresh and Fit podcast appeals to a specific audience, largely consisting of men seeking self-improvement or looking for dating advice within the red pill community, moments like these highlight the friction between the show's rigid ideology and a more nuanced understanding of modern relationships. It's also important to note that Fresh and Fit's content has drawn attention not only for incidents like this, but also for its broader messaging. Critics argue that the podcast perpetuates harmful stereotypes about women and relationships. Some episodes have veered into misogynistic territory, prompting backlash from both women and men who see the host's advice as promoting an unhealthy view of dating and gender dynamics. The public's reaction to Amanda's confrontation with the host shows a growing resistance to Fresh and Fit's one-sided portrayal of male-female interactions. As the podcast continues to expand its platform with high-profile guests and controversial episodes, it's moments like these that demonstrate how their rigid stance on gender dynamics doesn't always hold up when faced with opposition. In conclusion, the Fresh and Fit podcast incident with Amanda highlights the tension between the host's ideology and the evolving conversations around gender roles. While the hosts maintain their stance on what they believe are the dynamics between men and women, this exchange and others like it underscore the limits of their approach when confronted with differing opinions. For many, this moment marked a shift in how the podcast is perceived, not just as a space for men seeking advice, but as a battleground for ideological clashes on modern relationships. Sneako getting embarrassed by Penguin Zero.
I go say Nate, someone texts me, he's in a monogamous relationship. The fact that someone doesn't have to abide by those rules, someone could go and fuck a lot of bitches, that it's so foreign to a lot of people's ideas, because when you get brainwashed, when you get told that monogamy is the answer.
The feud between Sneako and Penguin Zero, also known as Moisiar 1T Call or Charlie, quickly spiraled into one of the most talked about online confrontations in the creator community. What started as Sneako's attempt to criticize and provoke Penguin Zero ended with Sneako's public embarrassment. Penguin Zero's sharp wit and calm demeanor turned the tables on Sneako, leaving many to believe that Sneako's reputation was irreparably damaged. The conflict began when Sneako, known for his controversial and often provocative takes on various societal and cultural issues, targeted Penguin Zero in his videos and social media posts. Sneako took aim at Penguin Zero's content, his commentary style, and even his appearance, accusing him of lacking masculinity. In his characteristic bombastic style, Sneako tried to demean Charlie by painting him as weak and irrelevant. Sneako's criticisms were typical of his edgy online persona, but this time, they caught Penguin Zero's attention. Charlie, famous for his sarcastic and deadpan humor, wasn't one to shy away from a response. While Sneako attempted to build up the narrative of being the more dominant and alpha figure in the conversation, his approach backfired, setting the stage for a dramatic confrontation. Rather than engaging in a heated back and forth with Sneako, Penguin Zero chose a more strategic and, ultimately, devastating response. In a series of videos, Charlie dismantled Sneako's arguments with logic, wit, and humor. Instead of escalating the conflict with insults, Penguin Zero leaned into a more satirical approach. One of the most iconic moments of this feud was when Charlie sarcastically flexed a pair of nunchucks in response to Sneako's attempt at appearing physically imposing. The humorous gesture was a parody of Sneako's alpha male posturing, and it quickly went viral. This approach endeared Charlie to a large section of the online community. Viewers appreciated the way he handled Sneako's insults with composure, making Sneako's attempts to seem superior look petty in comparison. Sneako's criticisms, which were aimed at undermining Charlie's masculinity and intellect, fell flat when Penguin Zero reframed them as childish attacks. The feud wasn't just about petty insults and jokes. At the heart of the debate were some of Sneako's more controversial views on topics like the age of consent, relationships, and societal standards. Sneako has been known for pushing boundaries with his takes, often courting controversy with his contrarian opinions. In response, Penguin Zero didn't just stop at mocking Sneako's style. He took the opportunity to break down and debunk some of Sneako's more troubling viewpoints. In particular, Charlie addressed Sneako's opinions on age of consent laws and censorship, using a factual and methodical approach. Rather than engaging in Sneako's bombast, Charlie systematically exposed the flaws in Sneako's logic, proving that Sneako's arguments were often poorly constructed and driven more by provocation than by reasoned analysis. This intellectual takedown was particularly damaging for Sneako. It shifted the perception of the feud from being merely a clash of egos to a public humiliation of Sneako's platform and ideas. Charlie's well-researched responses not only showcased his intelligence, but also highlighted the hollowness of Sneako's bravado. As the feud dragged on over several weeks, Sneako struggled to maintain any coherent defense. Rather than addressing the specific points Penguin Zero made in his videos, Sneako continued to rely on insults and baseless jabs, which only weakened his position further. At one point, Charlie openly accused Sneako of avoiding meaningful discussion and relying on petty insults as a shield from real debate. This particular accusation resonated with the audience. Charlie's calm, yet pointed commentary stood in stark contrast to Sneako's increasingly desperate attempts to keep the conflict going. Fans of both creators quickly noticed that Sneako wasn't engaging with the substance of Charlie's arguments, and this dynamic became a focal point in discussions online. To many viewers, Sneako's refusal to engage with Charlie's actual points seemed like an admission that he couldn't win the argument. As Penguin Zero's responses gained traction and were widely shared across platforms, Sneako's reputation took a significant hit. The majority of the online community sided with Charlie, praising his ability to remain composed while thoroughly humiliating his opponent. Sneako's attempts to insult and belittle Charlie were viewed as childish, while Charlie's humorous but intellectually sharp responses were celebrated for their tact. What made the situation even more embarrassing for Sneako was the fact that some of his own fans began turning against him. Many who had initially supported Sneako's red pill persona and controversial opinions started to see the cracks in his image. Fans criticized Sneako for starting a conflict he couldn't finish and for resorting to insults when he couldn't defend his views. The fallout from the Penguin Zero feud also exposed a larger issue with Sneako's online persona. As a figure who frequently tries to portray himself as an alpha male, Sneako's inability to effectively handle criticism or a direct intellectual challenge shattered that image. Instead of emerging from the conflict as a confident and dominant figure, Sneako looked increasingly insecure and fragile. Charlie's ability to maintain his composure and deliver well-reasoned arguments only emphasized Sneako's weaknesses. What was supposed to be a demonstration of Sneako's strength and dominance turned into a public unraveling of his persona. Viewers began questioning whether Sneako's alpha male posturing was more performative than substantive. In the end, Sneako was left with his reputation severely damaged, while Penguin Zero emerged largely unscathed. Charlie's fan base only grew stronger in the aftermath of the feud, while Sneako struggled to regain his footing. The feud became a defining moment in both creators' careers, but for Sneako, it was a moment that cast a long shadow over his public persona. This conflict serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of picking fights online without having the substance to back up one's claims. In a space where public opinion can shift quickly, Sneako's decision to attack Penguin Zero resulted in a significant blow to his credibility, while Penguin Zero's wit and level-headedness solidified his place as one of YouTube's most respected voices in the commentary community. Joey Stacks trying to act tough and regretting it.
And you say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize he was here first. I was in the back looking at my trailer to make sure it was okay. We walked in front, you see that green truck? It's been here 20 minutes. I've been here 15, the black one that you pulled up next to. So I was here first, ¿me entiendes?
Okay.
Chump ass mode, man, I hate people like that, man. I just got in the same shit over at Chevy with another dumbass. I thought he was there first.
Maybe you should think about that.
Yeah, maybe I should.
Well, you're walking around pushing people off.
Who pushed you off?
Joey Stacks, a well-known bodybuilder and social media personality, found himself in a regrettable situation when his attempt to act tough backfired in front of a significant online audience. The incident, which was captured on video and circulated on platforms like YouTube and TikTok, quickly became infamous, casting a harsh spotlight on Stacks' actions and how poorly they reflected on his supposed alpha persona. Joey Stacks is known for promoting an image of strength and toughness, both physically and mentally. His social media presence is often built around this idea of alpha masculinity, with frequent content showing him in intense workouts, motivational speeches, and sometimes confrontational or aggressive behavior. However, his bravado and attempt to establish dominance took a wrong turn during a particular confrontation. In one of the viral moments, Joey Stacks found himself embroiled in an altercation where he seemingly tried to assert his dominance over someone else. The video clip, which started making the rounds on TikTok and YouTube, shows Stacks in what appeared to be a tense face-off with another individual, trying to intimidate them through his size and aggressive posturing. This encounter, however, did not go the way Stacks anticipated. Instead of backing down, the other individual stood firm, refusing to be intimidated by Stacks' aggressive stance, which immediately flipped the dynamic of the situation. As the confrontation unfolded, it became clear that Stacks had overplayed his hand. Viewers witnessed the moment when Stacks, despite his imposing physical presence, was verbally and emotionally overpowered by the other party, making him look far less alpha than he intended. The video spread quickly across social media, where users mocked Stacks for trying to act tough and failing spectacularly. The humiliation Stacks experienced in this moment was further exacerbated by the online reaction. Comments on TikTok and YouTube flooded in, with many pointing out how Stacks' attempt at alpha posturing had turned into a perfect example of how toxic masculinity can backfire. Instead of commanding respect, Stacks' over-the-top aggression was viewed as childish and unnecessary, while the other person's calm demeanor garnered more admiration. What made this incident particularly noteworthy was not just the fact that Stacks was embarrassed in front of an audience, but how it reflected on the broader alpha male culture that Stacks often represents. Many viewers saw the confrontation as a moment of reckoning for Stacks, showing that simply being muscular and loud doesn't equate to true strength or leadership. Instead, his inability to handle the situation with maturity and grace made him look weak in the eyes of the public. Adding to the fallout was the fact that Joey Stacks' reputation has often been tied to his aggressive online persona. His social media accounts, where he regularly showcases his bodybuilding journey and motivational content, have also been spaces where he has occasionally displayed arrogance or antagonistic behavior. This incident, therefore, seemed to confirm what some critics have been saying all along, that Stacks' persona was more about bluster than actual toughness. While it's unclear whether this incident will have a long-term impact on Stacks' career or online presence, in the short term, it was undoubtedly a hit to his image. The internet can be unforgiving, and many users reveled in Stacks' public embarrassment, pointing out the irony of someone who promotes strength and dominance being brought down by his own actions. The aftermath of this event has led to discussions about the pitfalls of trying too hard to maintain a tough or alpha image, particularly in the age of social media, where every moment can be captured and shared instantly. Joey Stacks' experience serves as a reminder that authenticity and humility often resonate more with audiences than forced displays of aggression or dominance. In conclusion, Joey Stacks' attempt to act tough backfired in a big way, leaving him embarrassed in front of a massive online audience. The viral video of the incident sparked widespread mockery and criticism, particularly aimed at Stacks' brand of alpha masculinity. This serves as a cautionary tale for those who build their online personas around displays of strength and dominance, showing that real power comes from humility, not intimidation. Justin Waller getting confronted by Lila Rose.
Do you think that's a good thing to have multiple families?
I think it's good if there's one dad and there's not a bunch of step-parents involved and the dad can be the hero and those 5 families live a 10x better life than they would have otherwise. Yes, ma'am, I do.
But you don't think that it will be ultimately an opportunity for jealousy or disharmony amongst
women? Are always
going
to be jealous. What's changed
I'm not
about that?
jealous in
Women
my
have been
marriage.
jealous all the way through time. So
I'm not jealous in my marriage.
I don't care about your marriage. I'm talking about mine. What my life is going to be. So I don't answer to you. So that's my answer. I'm going to run my situation exactly how I want to. And generally, when I do that, that's when I have the most happiness, let's say, in my life. So that's all.
The confrontation between Justin Waller and Lila Rose on the Whatever podcast captured attention because of its heated discussion on sexual morality, relationships, and self-discipline. The exchange took place in a larger debate about gender roles, monogamy, and the expectations of traditional masculinity. Justin Waller, who is known for promoting a lifestyle centered on red pill ideologies and non-monogamous relationships, found himself at odds with Lila Rose, an advocate for abstinence and traditional family values. Waller, a businessman and influencer, often speaks on his belief in male dominance and his rejection of monogamy, which are common themes in the red pill community. During the podcast, Waller defended his position, arguing that men, particularly those like him, are not wired for monogamy. He described his lifestyle as a personal choice, framing it as part of his journey of self-improvement. He explained to Rose that he was a man of discipline when it came to business and physical fitness, but rejected the notion that he needed to apply the same principles to relationships. Lila Rose, on the other hand, came prepared with a counterargument. Known for her pro-life advocacy and belief in traditional relationships, Rose immediately questioned why Waller couldn't apply the same discipline he preached in other aspects of his life to his sexual behavior. Her core argument was centered around the belief that self-control and commitment are key to building a stable family, something Waller claimed to want in the future.
But you have other relationships with other women too.
What does that have to do with anything?
But I'm just wondering if you think
I
that's
haven't
a
even
problem.
said that. I'm just saying, like, if I want to, I will.
But you don't think that's a problem for your daughter to know that about their dad, that he has multiple mistresses?
That's up to my daughter, man. You know.
Rose highlighted the contradiction in Waller's stance by pointing out how his avoidance of monogamy clashed with his claims of wanting children and family stability. Rose's approach during the podcast was calm and measured. She didn't resort to personal attacks, but pressed Waller on what she saw as inconsistencies in his beliefs. She repeatedly asked Waller why he wouldn't embrace monogamy and be faithful to one woman if he desired a family. Her questioning revealed that despite Waller's claims of control and masculinity, he seemed unwilling or unable to address his sexual behavior with the same level of responsibility that he applied to other aspects of his life. Waller's responses grew increasingly defensive. Although he initially attempted to maintain a level-headed demeanor, it was clear that Rose's persistent questioning had rattled him. At one point, he admitted that Rose wasn't triggering him, but that he found her insistence on her viewpoints annoying in a goody-two-shoes kind of way. This response was met with mixed reactions from the audience, with some seeing it as a sign of Waller's frustration at being unable to provide a solid justification for his stance. A significant part of the debate revolved around the impact of casual sex and hookup culture on relationships. Rose, an advocate for abstinence and monogamy, argued that these behaviors undermine the potential for long-term, meaningful partnerships. She claimed that the widespread acceptance of casual sex leads to emotional damage and instability, a viewpoint that resonated with many listeners who share her conservative values. Rose contended that commitment and love are choices that require discipline, a point that directly challenged Waller's philosophy of non-attachment and sexual freedom. Waller's defense of his choices was grounded in his view of gender dynamics. He asserted that men and women are fundamentally different in how they approach relationships, implying that men, particularly high-status ones, should not be expected to commit to just one woman. His argument rested on the belief that monogamy is not a natural state for men. Rose, however, rejected this premise, pointing out that true masculinity involves responsibility and discipline, not just indulgence in personal desires. As the debate progressed, it became clear that Rose's stance was not just about personal choices, but about the broader societal implications of Waller's beliefs. She argued that hookup culture, which Waller and others like him promote, has harmful consequences for society at large, particularly for women and children. Rose emphasized that when men refuse to commit, they undermine the family unit, which is crucial for societal stability. This argument gained traction with viewers who saw Waller's position as promoting selfishness and a lack of accountability. The viral nature of the debate stemmed from how sharply the two ideologies clashed. Clips of the exchange were shared widely on platforms like TikTok and YouTube, where viewers discussed who had the stronger arguments. Many praised Rose for her articulate and principled defense of traditional values, while others sided with Waller's right to live according to his beliefs. However, even among Waller's supporters, there was a sense that he had been outmatched by Rose's logical and disciplined approach to the conversation. In the end, Waller refused to concede any ground, maintaining that his lifestyle and choices were valid. Yet, the debate illuminated deeper questions about masculinity, self-discipline, and the role of commitment in modern relationships. Rose's ability to stay composed while delivering her arguments was seen as a key reason for her success in the exchange, while Waller's inability to provide a compelling justification for his avoidance of monogamy left some questioning the foundation of his beliefs. And that's a wrap. These incidents serve as a reminder that no matter how invincible someone seems online, anyone can get knocked down in the heat of a real debate or confrontation. Whether it's Sneako's misstep with Penguin Zero or an alpha personality stumbling on stage, these moments will be talked about for a long time. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into viral feuds, epic confrontations, and all the juicy drama from the world of influencers and content creators. Let us know in the comments who you think handled these clashes the best, and who didn't stand a chance.